Welcome to Coffee Connect, everybody. This is Coffee Connect for the 24th of June. Oh my goodness, this year is passing us by. This is, most of you are repeats, so I did talk to JD and gave him a little bit of an update about what's going to be going on. Why am I at the end of my slideshow? That would be bad. Let's start at the beginning. Do we have anything that anybody needs to announce? Any celebrations or announcements? You just unmute yourself and take a chance. Anyone?
So unprepared. I didn't bring anything exciting.
Well, Jeff, the reason we haven't been getting emails is because if you all don't know, Rodney's on vacation. He's traveling in Europe and he has automated some of his emails and maybe he's doing some other work. I have not talked to him, but we just wish him a safe trip and a fun trip and a relaxing trip, and he'll come back with new ideas and be ready to hit the ground running. As many of you know, Rodney has a goal of getting 100 new people into Coffee Connect, people that haven't been here before, and we have one new person today. So I guess that brought us up to 25 as of last week. It'll be 20. I'll update the number. And actually, JD, can you give us 30 seconds and tell us a little bit about what you do and a good referral for you might be and what you're looking for? Keep it brief.
Yeah, my name's Jeff Krause. I simply changed my name to JD because we had too many Jeffs. Long story short, when I was in college, we had 3 Jeffs in a class, and we would intentionally sit next to each other on purpose. And when the teacher would say Jeff, we would all turn our heads and say yes at the same time, just to annoy our teacher. But anyway, my story, my background is in marketing, 7 years of marketing, as well as 11 years in multimedia creation, which includes photo, video, animation, and web. I'm currently in job transition right now because my last position, marketing manager at a local payroll company in Fort Wright, Kentucky, was eliminated. So right now my ask is for leads in the marketing field or the multimedia field. The industries I've been looking at have been construction and manufacturing because I have quite a bit of background in creating both multimedia content as well as marketing for the construction industry.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping it brief. And I want to remind anybody that if you put your contact information in the chat window, and to also, if you want to schedule a one-to-one with anybody that you meet here, call them out, send them a message so you can actually share contact info and follow up later to have a Zoom call with them or an in-person meeting with them. That's how networking works. Now is the point where I'm going to actually introduce Joe, and I asked him how he wanted to be introduced. He said as 3-time WrestleMania champion, which, if you know Joe, is a very...
Yes, I did say that.
You did say that. It's a very Joe thing to say. So I'm not actually going to do a good introduction for you because I'm not prepared for that. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and you can talk about using this data Axel for job searches and other data information and where you can access it from. So okay. I'm going to stop sharing, and you can take over. But first, I have to figure out how to stop sharing since all of my menus have disappeared. There it is. Stop sharing. Joe, take it away.
Now I'm going to take over here, and can you see a data Axel reference solutions screen now? Nod.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it's like I can't hear when you say in your mind, yes, I can see that now. But data Axel is a database that is free. It's my favorite 4-letter F word. And it is free through most libraries in the United States. It is free through and I checked, it is free through the Cleveland Public Library, the Columbus Public Library, the Cincinnati Public Library. Jeff Delwicki is free through the Milwaukee Public Library. And it is free through the Kenton County Public Library in Northern Kentucky, which is where I am a volunteer and where I wrote instructions on how to use data Axel. Typically, this class takes about 75 minutes at the library, so we're not going to be able to cover everything today, but I'm going to kind of get you through the main points so that you'll be able to do quick searches on North American businesses. Typically, when you would come into a library website, it's going to ask you for your library card and your ID. I've kind of gotten past that to get to this. And in this particular example, what we're going to do is we're going to look at US businesses. I'm going to try to do this live. If the response time is poor or the graphics don't display well, I have a couple PDFs queued up in the background where I'll jump to those if like I say, if the response time is poor or the graphics don't show well. But if you click US businesses, in a general sense, what I'm trying to do here is I was trying to find a business somewhere in the state of Ohio, and preferably between Columbus and Cleveland that most people would have heard of. And the one that I chose is Smucker's. So I've entered that in previously, so it was already kind of pre-canned there. And then I want to limit myself to the state of Ohio because Smucker is literally all over the United States. I could either type an O here or I can scroll down and get Ohio just for, I'm just going to hit O to jump me down there. And then I'm going to click view results. And so this pulls up 20 results, and I need to now I came back to this is no Jeff, I got on the wrong screen here. I want to get back to what I was sharing, and unfortunately I'm seeing you right now.
We see the 20 results screen. That's what you're sharing with us.
Okay. I don't really care about Smucker Plumbing, and I don't care about this Smucker MD, but these Smuckers in Orrville, Ohio, I kind of do care about. Those are the ones that I'm going to look at. And so initially I'm going to look at this JM Smucker with Mark Smucker as the executive name. And so if I double click on that, are you seeing JM Smucker Company now?
Yes.
Okay. And since I'm in full screen, I need an audible reply, not a nod. So this has your basic information, address, city, state, zip, phone, fax, toll-free number. If you click that, it will take you to their website, what county they're in, things of that nature. Job listings, there's nothing listed for ZipRecruiter currently. If you come over here, you see this collapse. I can close that down or I can expand it back out. These SIC codes are what I'm going to use in the advanced section to get a number of companies in the same industry. So these SIC codes are very important. If this is not exactly your best scenario for your job search or whatever you might be looking for, this would be, you want to get this SIC code, and then I'll show you in the second part how you use that to drill down into your particular industry. As we scroll down this record, sometimes this business profile might be blank. If it's a smaller company or private company, if they haven't provided that. But basically, this particular business profile, it almost comes right off of JM Smucker's website. So if you come down here, there's business information in here. At this particular location, there's 1,500 employees, 9,000 company-wide. It shows that they're 465th in the Fortune 500. I checked that against Google this morning. Google said they're 466, so I'd say that that's pretty accurate. And I checked their corporate sales volume for last year, and it said it was 8.2 million or 8.2 billion. And so this is 8.178, and I would say that, you know, for rounding purposes, that is accurate. What I would say about information in this is that pre-COVID, I would say this information was 90% accurate. But I would say that now it's probably about 75 to 80. But that's still, you know, post-COVID, there's been a lot of people to retire, a lot of people switch companies. Companies have been bought and sold. So there's been a lot of changes in that regard. And that's especially true when we get down to the business, to the people who work at the company later. This management directory, if I expand this, you'll see that Mark Smucker is the CEO and chairman. And can you see Mark Smucker's, or do I have to share that actually? He is on
I can
LinkedIn.
see.
What's
You're
that?
showing the LinkedIn page.
Oh, okay. So Mark Smucker is actually the CEO and chair of the board at. So when I come back to this, it's like, you know, you can find people in this management directory on LinkedIn. You won't find every person in there, but just some people don't keep a LinkedIn profile, or some people, you know, they have 7 connections and, you know, they're very difficult to find. But there's a fairly lengthy list of people in here who work at Smuckers who were in this listing. They are listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol SJM. This next section here, this business expenditures, I don't think this is very helpful. These are mostly estimated. Okay, on advertising, you know, do you think that Smucker spends over $250,000 on advertising? Yeah, you know, that's not really very helpful. Or that they spend over 25,000 on accounting. I don't think that's very helpful. And these other 4, I don't think are very helpful either. If you're wanting to stay in this industry, the competitors report, you know, could be helpful to you. And if you see a hyperlink here, you can click and go to that. I didn't do this before, but I'm going to go to Cleveland Jam and see what they have. And this says they have 1 to 4 employees. They have about $1 million in sales. So if you're looking for a local family company in North Royalton, that might work for you. You can click this back button to get back to the page where we were before. And that's kind of the quick search is when you know the name of the company. And so I'm going to go back here. I'm going to show you a couple other things. This is the part I was a little bit afraid. Okay, that was a little slow there. These up and down arrows, did I explain those? I know I did to Jeff beforehand. If you see a down arrow, that typically means that's the parent company. If you see up arrows, that means they report up the hierarchy. If you see an up and down arrow in there, that usually means it's like a regional, hub. For example, like Louisville and Lexington might report up to Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati might report up to New York in certain structures. So you will see up and down arrows in some cases. That, like I said, that means that's like a regional office. This little looks like a skeleton standing on its side. That's the corporate tree. If I click on that, I will see the corporate tree for JM Smucker. This PC means it's a public company. SU means it's a subsidiary. So they have Pet Nutrition, Big Heart Pet, Folgers Coffee, and Hostess brands, and then a bunch of other JM Smucker And then True Roots is another food manufacturer out in Chico, California that they own. So they have 4 subsidiaries, 46 branches, and that's so if you want to know about their corporate tree, that's what that looks like. I'm going to do back, and I'm going to go to the back to the main list again. There's 2 major ways you can offload information. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the Smucker companies that are in Orville that have an arrow out here and show you this. There's 2 major things that you can do. One is download and the other is print. Download lets you send things to a spreadsheet. And when you get into that, these would be the options I would recommend. One would be is either comma delimited or Excel. You're basically going to end up saving it as an Excel spreadsheet. And then this summary, it includes basic data that you would want on the company. I do not recommend detailed. When you saw all of the names before for Smucker, you had like the person's name, their title, and you would have like 4 columns for every name that was in that list. You can literally get a spreadsheet of information that's 400 columns wide if you do the detailed. So I would stick with the summary until, if you want to play with the detailed, fine, go ahead. But I would recommend the summary initially. And then you can click this download records, and then you'll get a summary like this. You have the company, the parent name, the executive first and last name, the address, city, state, zip, credit score. You don't want to go into a C+ company if you're in job search. You want to find somebody with a good credit rating. Then out here they have their primary SIC codes and what those codes stand for. I do hope you can all see the spreadsheet.
No, the spreadsheet did not appear. You're showing us the web page still.
Okay.
You want to stop sharing and reshare the spreadsheet?
No, I'm going to try. I'm not having good luck getting back to change the share.
You
Let's see
have to
here.
stop sharing. So on your shared window at the top of this window is a little bar. Maybe
How about that?
There you go. You got it.
Okay. So this has their first and last name, city, state, zip, their credit score, which would be important. How these 3 come up as A's and this one comes up as B, I'm not quite sure. But and then it'll have like the location sales, the number of employees. This is just kind of basic information that that you can find on the different companies. So now when I get back here, now I'm going to go back to the changing sharing is always the fun part of this.
You are back at the web page now.
Okay. So now if you wanted to email the records, you can go into email and you can add multiple email addresses. So like I could send this to Lamar and Jeff and myself, and then put a message in, hey, here's some information I found at the library. You would just pop in the email address up here and then add. And I don't think that it'll have well, I can do this, and I can put in a message in here and then send email. I'm not going to do that for time purposes, but I could email that to multiple people. And so now here I'm going to go, I'm going to click back, which will take me back to the prior list. And now I'm going to take these 4 and I'm going to do print. And this will print this in terms of a PDF. And if I don't want something over here, I can click it and shoot it back, but I do want business demographics and management directory. And in some cases, you might want the competitors report. But like I showed you before, I think a lot of this other information in between is either pretty well known or not very helpful. But these would be the 6 things that I would take: the location info, the industry profile, business demographics, management directory, and competitors report. And then click preview. And the PDF was created successfully. When I click that, do you see the PDF now?
Yes.
Okay. So then this is this JM Smucker, 1 Strawberry Lane. It has the business profile in here, location, employees, 465 in the Fortune 1000, 8.2 billion in sales. Has the management directory, all the people you saw before. The competitors report, and sometimes it spills over a page. There's not much you can do about that. And then this is the second record that was in there, and the third record, and the fourth record. So that is all in one PDF. So then you can either come over here to download that or print it. If you wanted to see a 2-page view, you can, sometimes that might be helpful, sometimes not. To me, it's not very much, so I'm going to turn that back off, but there's just different options there. I just wanted to show you. Any questions on the basic views in Data Axle?
Joe, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have any feel, this is a really tough one, for how far down in the revenue volume this might go? And also, does it show ownership? Because if I'm looking at a smaller company, and it happens to be in there, the relevant information might be by their parent, or it could be conceivably. Do you have any knowledge of that kind of stuff? Like how far down does it go, and does it show a parent? I know that's an unfair question of how far down it goes.
Okay, like when I clicked on the corporate tree before, that shows the sales volume at all of those different locations. Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, but if I talk about a standalone company that I'm interviewing with, because, well, if I'm talking what I think is a standalone company, but say it's $60 million in revenue.
Okay.
Go ahead. And I know that's a tough question. I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying here. This is very valuable.
No, I mean, I think there's certain things, okay, if that $60 million company is owned by a private equity firm, they might, squash some of those records. They may not make that type of information public.
Can I add something, Joe?
The more private the company, the less information is going to be available.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're getting at, or?
Well, I guess I'm saying maybe it is privately held, but it might be in here anyway. Is that?
But there was like I don't know how to say this, like a checkbox, and it said parent company, and it wasn't. It was like no or empty. I think there is an option for us to see.
Okay. Thank
yeah,
you.
because I remember I saw that.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Or I think on general screen or somewhere, but there
Okay.
is.
So like here, this will say this is the headquarters.
No, it was for no, it is like foreign parent, or no.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're
it
talking
was
about,
below. Sorry.
so you're talking in the corporate tree. I'm trying to get back to that screen. So if I click this, it'll say this is the parent company, these are branches. This is a subsidiary, this is a branch of the other pet thing.
M- Maybe it would be a good idea to find the smaller company that we know has a parent company. So we will see how it looks from that side.
Yeah, okay, like I said, I don't have time to go off on a lot of tangents today
Okay.
with
Okay.
the limit of time that we have.
Sure.
That's something where, Bob, I'm just not quite sure how to answer your question in the context of what I'm trying to show today, is I guess what I have to say. There will be $60 million companies where there will be as much information as there is on Smuckers here, and then there'll be $60 million companies, like I say, if they're held by a private equity firm or something, you might not be able to find much on them at all. That you kind of have to play around with that and find, which companies have information and which ones don't. Any other questions on the quick search?
Yes, for the quick search, I noticed there's phone numbers in there. Does it also include emails, like people's emails?
No,
Like if you, no, okay.
no. Typically what'll happen is if you know, like someone at P&G is, like in my case would be jbinder@pg.com. You can kind of guess what their email might be if you know the pattern, or if you know that it's like joseph.binder@pg.com, but this typically does not have, this typically does not show emails.
Okay, the reason why I asked was because I had used a service to track people's emails down called hunter.io to send emails to people that way, and it gives you like
Is
25.
that Hunter with or without the E?
Say that again.
Is that Hunter with or without the E?
With the E, HUNTER.io.
Okay, so folks, if you're looking for email addresses, you might be able to use hunter.io to find those. Any other questions about the quick search? Okay, I'm going to jump to advanced search then. When you come in here, instead of typing in a name here, you can go to advanced search. And by the way, if I'm not sure if you got the documents in the chat or not, those are available. There's nothing copyrighted or anything there. So go ahead and take those and utilize.
I didn't share the documents you gave me. Do you want me to share them? I can put the PDFs in the chat and drop
That's
them.
fine. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
When you come into the advanced search initially, you'll notice that it says there's 18 million company records on display here. And like I say, this particular scenario might not be for you, but I'm going to assume that I am a mechanical engineer and that I want to, I have family in Chicago and I want to try to get back to Chicago. And so, why I clicked there, I don't know. When you come into major industry group, this is using the SIC codes that I showed you before. I'm going to go into manufacturing, and I want to work in with a transportation equipment manufacturer. So I'm going to click on 37 there, and notice that highlights all of these underneath. And like I say, this may not be a great example for you, but just go with the example, and I can show you other things later, time permitting. And like I said, I want to get back to Chicago, so I'm going to click metro area. And so then I'm going to come into the state and select Illinois. And then I'm going to come down here, I'm going to select Chicago, Naperville. And then that pops up in the right-hand side. And then I'm going to update the count. So I'm going to go from 18 million down to 1,083. That's still a few too many. That's a few more companies than I want to manage a job search for. So I'm going to come here to number of employees, or I take that back. I'm going to do something else here first. Nothing personal against the great state of Indiana, but my family lives west of Chicago, so I don't really want to go to Indiana. So I'm going to exclude, going to come down here to omit state, and I'm going to omit Indiana. And nothing personal, Jeff, but when I did omit Wisconsin before, it didn't change the numbers at all. So I'm guessing that Chicago Metro doesn't reach into Wisconsin. But when I do that, it goes from 1,083 down to 972. That's still a few more companies that I'd like to manage on a job search. So I'm going to look at number of employees, and I come down here and it says currently searching both corporate and location number of employees. I'm going to explain this in a second, but it's like, I don't see any way out here that I can control the corporate and location number of employees. So I'm going to click this show more options. Then it says both corporate and location, corporate only, location only. Okay, what do these mean? Corporate, if I look at location only, if the company has 100 locations and 50 people per location, equally spread. If I do location only and I put in 100, I will not find any records because there's no location that has 100 employees. They all have 50. The corporate in that particular scenario would have 5,000 employees. So if I put in 100 here and then did corporate only, I would find the corporate record. If I do corporate and location, if I put in 25, I would find all of the locations and the corporation because they're all over 25. In this particular case, in this example, the scenario I'm going to use, I want to just do location because since I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm probably going to have to find a factory that has 100 or more people for them to have the ability to be able to hire me. So I click that from. Now in this case, I've done 100 several times on different searches that I've tested for this. So I'm going to put in 100 and then come up here and do update count. And that gets me down to 72. Well, 72 is still a few more than I want. And now I notice that there's something I didn't click before, which is search primary SICs only. So in other words, I don't want to work for a company if transportation is like their third option. So now I want to change this, and I say I only want to look for primaries. Now I update the count. That gets me down to 33. So I only want to manage a job search of 20 companies or less. So I'm going to change this from to 125. And yes, folks, I did test this earlier. So now this is exactly 20 that I want to look at. And so in this particular case, if I wanted to do like 125 to 500, I could do that. But I'm just going to let this roll because I got exactly the 20 that I'm looking for. And now to view the results, I'm going to click that, and then these results come up. These are all in the Chicago area. And like I told you earlier, these are, this would be probably like a regional hub that probably reports up the food chain somewhere and down and has subsidiaries underneath it. So this reports up and down. And this was one of the ones I got into before this, Autometer Products. Oh, every so often you might come across this. It's going to make you check that you are human. It's going to make me click on the numbers that are equal. And this is kind of annoying right now, but Okay. So now, Autometer Products, and this is a subsidiary, and its parent company is Promise Holdings, which is a well, I'll click on this, and I mean this is a private equity company. So Bob, I don't know if that answers your question any better or not. Oh, it's not going to make me do this again, is it? You're killing me here. Okay, so now it brings me back. And this is an automobile supplier. It's owned by a private equity firm. It has 180 location employees. And this is the difference of what I was trying to explain before. There are 180 people in this location, but the corporate employees is 887. So before, if I said I want to look at corporate only 500 plus, I would have gotten this record because the corporation has over 500. But I would not have gotten it if I had done location only because it has 180. Does anybody have any questions on that? And again, this is very similar information from before. These are all companies with 125 employees or more. So that's why these are showing up here. Any questions? Okay. There is a feature in here. I'm going to go back into this. If I say I want to find companies within 5 miles of this that are similar. So within 5 miles of that particular plant, there are 7 other results of companies that are in, there's 6 other companies, but this is this Autometer Products, and then there's 6 other companies like it in the area. So they aren't necessarily all going to have 125 employees, but they're similar in their industry. So they're going to be similar to this Autometer, which is what I started. And I'm going to see if this one has. Okay, so like this just has 1 to 4 employees, but it is in the automobile parts. It is, I was looking in type 37s, so it does have that SIC code, but it's a smaller company. So it's in a similar industry, but it's not the same size company. So you can look that way. Any other questions? Okay, I will show you a different way to do a search then in here as well, and that is based on radius. You could type in your home address here if you want to. 200 Sales Avenue that is where, for those of you out of Cincinnati, that's where JTM is in Harrison. And then the zip code down there is 45030. And if I say I want to find all businesses within a mile that have 100 or more employees within a mile of that location, there are 4 companies. And this is JTM Food Group. And why do I know about JTM Food Group? Because that's my cousin. So, and again, here's one that reports up and down. Wayne Water Systems, I believe, is a subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. It is. They have 148 employees there. So if you're looking in the Harrison, Ohio area, which is a little, it's a little town, about 20 miles northwest of Cincinnati, more west than north. That would be, where you could look for that. So you can use radius as well. There are several different options over here. Some of these make a lot of sense to me. Some of them make no sense to me. Why you would care about yellow page ad size, I have no idea. Some of you might, in your job search, you might be looking for a headquarters. And then there's another one down here. You might be looking for Fortune 1000 companies. If you want to look for only Fortune 1000 companies in the state of Ohio, when you update the count, there's 55 Fortune 1000 companies in the state of Ohio, and then you can view those results. So depending on what you're looking for, there's a lot of different information there. Any questions?
I have
What
one.
did you, oh, go ahead, Delaware.
I just wanted to ask, is this something that only US citizens can use, or I can get access to it?
It's available through most libraries in the United States. I'm not, I can't answer if and who is this asking the question?
Yeah, Dalibor, Croatia.
Okay,
So answer is no.
I don't know if you know, if libraries over there would have access to this or not, but I would think maybe like you know, like Rome or Paris or, you know, Berlin or larger libraries in Europe might have access to this. I don't necessarily know if you know, and if you can get access to those library cards, you might be able to, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure.
Is this something you can access remotely, even in the US, or do you have to physically be in a library?
He's doing it remotely now.
I'm doing this from my house.
Okay, I didn't know. Well, I didn't know if you had special access or code or something. So if that's the case, then maybe you could log in
I'm sure
from Croatia.
I'm sure if he logged in with my library card into you know, into the library I'm in now, he'd be able to use it. It's just a matter of now if they detect your you might get asked more often, are you a robot or not, if they detect that your IP address is from a foreign through a foreign web provider, but
So Joe, are you posting your credentials then for him?
how about no?
Do you want them now? Hold on, give me a second.
Yeah, I'm sure Jeff could probably get that for you. Let's see here.
On the dark web already, it's
Oh,
okay.
the other thing I wanted to cover, there's two other things I wanted to cover real quick. One is sales volume, and I'm going to kill this. If you go into show, if you don't like the range of numbers they have here, and you go into show more options, notice here that it says the actual sales volume is done in thousands of dollars. So if you type in 1,000, that actually means 1,000,000. If you type in 1,000,000, that means 1,000,000,000. And so if you wanted to do, say, 7 to 15 million, you know, you don't like this 5 to 10 million or 10 to 20, or if you wanted to do 7.5 million to 15 million dollars, you could do that. And now if I say update that count, that's about 9,000 in the state of Ohio. So you know, those are things that you do kind of want to watch that. The other thing I would kind of coach you about a little bit is quick search. I'll go back to Smucker here. And I don't necessarily know, where's the down arrow one? That's the one. Okay, when you don't put in Ohio, now I'm going to get 114 results. So that's what I forgot to do. When I come to this one, sometimes for smaller companies, they won't show the sales volume. Private companies will keep that information back, or if it's you know, part of a private equity firm, they may not show the location sales volume. If you try to filter on that and that information isn't there, you won't see that record. So if that's like tightly held information and they don't have it in here, you might not find that particular company. So those are that is kind of a risk you run when you use sales volume to try to find a record. You may not find it. The other thing is let's see, wrong one. And
Joe, do you want to also show them, because you've already shown the screen right now, that for smaller companies, you can identify the leadership team, and then you can use that to reach out to your network to see if people know any of them.
yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to say before. If you know anybody in this list, you know, or you can look for them on LinkedIn. Like I said before, can you see Mark Smucker on the screen now?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you can go and find people on this list in LinkedIn. I'm not necessarily suggesting that you know Mark Smucker, but it's kind of one of the things. You can find a lot of these people on LinkedIn, and there will be, or you can go into LinkedIn and screen the company and see which people on this list are in there, and go that route. So I mean that there are ways to kind of use this to cross over with LinkedIn and try to find people that you might be able to reach out and connect to. Is that where you wanted to go, Lamar?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Certainly. One other thing, it's and kind of need to come back to this. And
While you're looking, has anybody else used this service? Have you done work with it, or is this new to you?
I've just accessed it from the UK, but it looks like I've accessed it and I've gone down, filtered, and then the next page was going to be what it's going to cost me.
But you may not be going through a library system where it's free.
Exactly, but I'm saying it is accessible from outside America.
Christine, have you used this service before?
No, I have not. This is fascinating. I know, I think Roger talked about it and said it was an excellent program. So that's, yeah. And I appreciate having the search and everything. I think it would be helpful maybe to, on those occasions where you don't know exactly who to send that resume to, maybe you can find that HR person in this list.
Yep. Can you see the nonprofits list in your screen now?
Yes.
Okay. This is the other thing that's it can be a little hard to kind of pinpoint nonprofits in this, because you have nonprofits for children, nonprofits for preschool kids, nonprofits for vets, nonprofits for pets, nonprofits for all different kinds of things. And so these are some of the codes, but notice that most of these are in the 80s. Like SPCA is 0752 under animal shelters. So what I would kind of recommend, if you're looking for, say, a food pantry or something like that, put in the name of the food pantry. In Cincinnati, that's Free Store Food Bank. And then you get this code, and then you can go back in the advanced search and look for things like that. Hawksworth Blood Center is that's where this shirt is from. I donate at least 4 times a year. If you're looking for those kinds of things, Crone Conservatory is an excellent, has lots of displays of flowers and things like that. Master Provisions is very similar to Free Store Food Bank. It helps people in need. But there's all different kinds of things you can go in here. Cincinnati Art Museum, there's all different kinds of things that you can have. As far as, but it's a little harder to narrow down nonprofits than companies. Any other questions? And there's something, if you want something a little more detailed, I'd be happy to do that. If there's like 3 or 4 people who want to do that some other time, just send something either to me. My information is in the chat, and we can schedule something. Usually Tuesdays, and I'm retired. Usually Tuesdays and Thursdays are best for me. Be happy to do a one-off session with you if you think that would be helpful. But this can be used for a lot of things other than just job search. When I worked for a school, what we did was we put in the school's address in the radius, and we said, show us restaurants within a 5-mile radius of the school, and we sent letters out to those restaurants, and we got a lot of gift cards back for a festival we were having. So you can use it in ways like that too. But I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, like I say, my information's in the chat. Drop me a line, and I'll answer for you what I can.
Thank you, Joe. Well, we are pushing up against that 11 o'clock time limit, guys. So briefly, next week in the calendar of who's going to present, right now there's a hole in the calendar. So I might just be winging it. We might just be doing a book share or something like that. So I'll figure out something. And on
I like the book shares.
So do I. So that's why I threw that out there. Thank you, Joe. On 8th of July, we have Samantha Kelly presenting about leading neurodiversity. And I presume that Rodney will be back by the 15th of July and be newly re-energized with what he's going to be presenting. And he may just be watching this video and laughing at himself, or me for that. Yes, Tony, you got a question.
So can I make an announcement, because it's for you guys? Beechwood, I'm doing a presentation on LinkedIn on the 16th. Just for those that have missed it, Jeff's nodding his head. I'm doing it for Jeff. One of the Jeffs anyway. So many of them in this bloody room, yes. JD, oh yes, there's more than one JD as well. Oh my God. Yes, doing a presentation on LinkedIn for Beechwood on the 16th of July.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tony.
Looking forward to it, Tony.
All right. And if you want to stick around for a bit, you can. I did recommend that if you want to do one-to-ones with people, we didn't have any breakouts today, so people didn't get a chance to discuss what Joe's talked about. And thank you, Joe, for this. This was eye-opening because it's not something I knew anything about.
My pleasure.
Thank you,
I hope
Joe.
Got some useful information out of this, and have a wonderful week.
Great way to